In this short recording, we're going to take a look at how to achieve account linking with Facebook. In my example here, we have two authenticators. We have a Facebook authenticator and an HTML authenticator that is the local account. So this is where we have our local account that we want to link with Facebook. It's got an account manager and a credential manager configured with it. Very simple. It's using a local account that's stored in our case here, the local database. I've configured it to be assigned to a specific account domain that I call local domain here. The account domains in general, I have two domains. I have a Facebook domain and a local domain. In this view here, you can kind of drag and drop the different authenticators to be assigned to different domains, but these domains are key in how we get this linking set up. So if you look at the Facebook authenticator, it first has one action assigned to it, which is an action where we check if there is a link already established, and it's using the default account manager that the HTML authenticator is assigned to, and it's also using the Facebook domain as the link. Special about this configuration here is that it has a linked subject attribute defined for the original subject attribute name, and this is so that we can not overwrite the different subjects between the different authenticators. The second step is to check if we actually got a link or not, and this is using a switch action that has an if statement where we have a condition then, and if we look at the condition specifically, if this linked subject attribute that we defined first in the resolve action is null, that means we don't have a link. We're gonna initiate a create link action. And if there was a link, then we're just going to continue. So that's the else statement there. If we look at the create link action, the first step in that is, in this sequence of actions, is that we check or we initiate the HTML authenticator with a subject pattern that applies to all users. And that will then trigger the HTML authenticator. This is what we want to have happen if there was no link. So the user is forced to log in with the HTML authenticator, and then the linking action takes place where we link the HTML authenticator, and the link in the account domain means that we are using the link in the Facebook authenticator, and all of this is stored in the default account manager. The next step, when the link is established, is that we want to resolve the link again, because the first resolution resulted in nothing. That's why we ended up in this flow. So this is similar to the first one where we have the default account manager and the Facebook domain. The only difference here is we're doing a fail on no link as a precaution. If there is no link, we're going to fail. This shouldn't be the case because we just created a link. But that resolves the link in the scenario that we are creating the link. The next step here is that we assign this authenticator to a client that we have, and we only have to assign the Facebook authenticator. The rest of the flow and the actions and the fact that the HTML authenticator gets triggered happens automatically in the server. If we now use oauth tools to test this out, we run the flow. I'm not logged into Facebook here, meaning it triggers a Facebook authentication. The next thing that happens is the HTML authenticator kicks in because we didn't have a link. So when I log in here with a local account, the link actually got established behind the scene. We couldn't really see it. But through our flow, we got an access token, refresh token, and an ID token. We can't really make much sense of the subject for now, but we'll look at that in a little bit and how we can make more sense of that. If we rerun this flow, we get no authentication because we have single sign-on enabled. The link got automatically resolved. So let's see how we can get more proof out of the link being established. You can go in here, and within the authenticator, at the end of our actions, we'll add a debug action. This will reveal all the attributes. And so if we go back to OAuth tools, I'm first going to log out my session, and then we can rerun this flow. We now see that I didn't get an authentication, but the debug action triggered at the end, and the actual subject that we see as the outcome of the authentication process is Alice, which is picked up from the link between Facebook and my local authenticator, the HTML authenticator. So the link was resolved. I logged in with Facebook, but the actual subject is picked up from the local authenticator. And that concludes this short little video on account linking with Facebook. This would obviously apply the same to any other type of authenticator. Facebook is just used as an example in this case. There are many more different scenarios for account linking. Let us know comments or feedback, or if you have any questions at info@curity.io.